So, I've been talking to a guy about getting this engine for a couple of weeks. Last night, we finally made it happen. He lives in Antioch. I am about 2 hours away from there. And for a couple of weeks, we were trying to get together and make this happen. And we just couldn't get the timing right for one reason or another. But last night, it finally happened. And so the backstory on this thing is he was driving by Pick and Pull one day, and there was a wrecked 74 Dart out front. But it was a pretty nice car. Just had a bunch of front end damage, including the suspension. The suspension was all messed up, so a lot of people don't want to touch that if it needs a new K-member. And so he grabbed it, and he's building a race car out of it. His friend had a 410 stroker, and so he didn't need the engine. And so he just grabbed this engine and put it on the side of his house. Well, it's a 360, and I've been looking for a 360 for some time now. Years, really, but actively looking, checking it almost every day on Marketplace for 6 months. For something that was the right price and had, some decent parts on it and wouldn't be a ton of work to put back together. I didn't want something that needed to be rebuilt right away. And then I saw this one. It was a little bit of a gamble, but I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it because I talked to him on the phone. He sounded really credible. He sounded legit. Seemed like a nice guy. You get a good vibe from somebody. And I'm like, why not? I'll just do it. The price is right. I don't want to say exactly how much it was, but it wasn't $1,000. I'll put it that way. It was less than that. And this thing has... It's a 74 360, first of all, out of a Dart, and I have a 72 Dart, and all the inner structure is the same, pretty much. So it's a direct fit. It's got this Edelbrock RPM air gap intake on it, which is a couple $100 alone. Sorry, somebody's driving by, slumping. So it's got the Edelbrock RPM air gap intake on it. It also came with a set of headers, which are pretty sweet. Oh, here they are. They're pretty sweet. They're nice. They have some kind of coating on them, so they don't look terrible. And the rest of it was kind of a gamble. I didn't really know, a lot of these 360s were like low compression and had small valves, and a lot of them were put into RVs, and they have cams that, are torquey but don't produce a lot of power. I've tore into this one today. I couldn't even wait to get it out of the back of the truck. I had to know right away. So I got home from work, and the casting numbers on them say that they do have the big valve heads, which are a 202 and 160. And that's awesome, because that's what came on the high power engines from that era. They don't really make a bigger head than that. So this thing should actually produce quite a bit of power. And when I looked inside, it's really clean, and the cam looks good. The heads are clean inside. There's no gunk or anything. I don't even think this engine ran that long. And it may have been rebuilt, or it's a low mile engine, I would imagine. It's going to be fun to open up the cylinders and actually look at the pistons and see what's going on, because this may have been rebuilt and overboard. I have no idea, but I'll give you guys an update when I figure all that out. It may take some time. I just do this in my spare time, so sometimes I don't get to my cars for 2-3 weeks at a time, and I'm building multiple cars at once. So anyway, I'll probably come back with more stuff on the 77 square body soon. most of the bodywork and primer is done, and that'll be ready for paint sometime this summer, whenever I can get around to it. But yeah, so now I have this 360, I have a spare 904 transmission, and I have an 8 3/4 sure grip rear end with 391 gears in it. So the foundation of the Dart is here. It's gonna happen soon. When? Not exactly sure. I need to look through this engine more. I probably, with the kind of power I want to make, will have to start thinking about getting a transmission built, but I have a spare one. And we'll go from there. Anyway, pretty stoked on this. Should make some decent power. I'll update you guys more when I find out what's going on in the bottom end. See you later.